This is a non-negotiable. Americans can do better for children that are fighting cancer or any other terminal disease. And I don't care where you come from, we should all agree on that.
I think the biggest misconception is that I do have cancer, which I don't have cancer. It is related to cancer, but it's not cancer. I have my own diagnosis, which is a bone marrow failure. Sometimes that is hard for me because sometimes I just want to say I have cancer, but I think that is not right for the cancer diagnosis people because, you know, they have their cancer diagnosis and that is a hard diagnosis. But I have my own diagnosis. I don't think people know what a bone marrow failure is. Hey guys, I'm McKendry Patton, I'm 21 and I have Diamond-Black vein anemia.
Okay. Hey, Trevelina. You left us for 2 years, and now we're ballerinas instead of tumbleweeds. So teach us what we don't know. Hey, word.
McKendry has always been a happy child. From very little teeny tiny girl, she started doing gymnastics and she immersed herself in that. She loved being with her friends there. She loved being with her mom there. Her sister was there. She was just a fun, happy girl.
Yeah, so when the symptoms first started, I was 12. I was constantly doing gymnastics and I would constantly feel fatigued and sick, but I just kind of wrapped that up as, you know, I was just tired from practice all the time. I started getting sicker and sicker and I would get these weird infections that would put me in the hospital. No one kind of knew what they were. And then I had an incident at the gym where I tore my ulnar collateral ligament. And that was kind of the start of everything because that happened and then I had surgery to fix it, but I never really healed from that surgery.
I had learned to carry a thermometer with me everywhere I went because she would spike really high fevers and they would just come out of the blue with no symptoms. And I remember looking out on the gymnastics floor and noticing that she looked like she was fevered. And I called her off the gym floor and I remember she was really upset. And I said, I'm really sorry. I took her temperature and it was 103.7. I just remember the feeling I got. It was the first time kind of that mom got kicked in where I was like, this is not right. The fact that she could go back out on the gym floor, she said, I have to finish my bar routine, and she did, and she did end up, I do remember she did end up winning bars at that particular meet, and I thought, what are we missing here? And I now had 4 children, and I knew that she was different than all of them. And that's when my journey started to advocate for her and realizing that I needed to kind of dig deep and figure out what was going on.
We kind of just went all around the country to find different doctors and no one could tell us what it was.
They sent us out to Cincinnati Children's Hospital, to an immunology office, and a new doctor had come on board.
Who initially helped diagnose an immune deficiency called chronic variable immune deficiency, where my immune system just hasn't developed and I just have a weakened immune system.
I felt like he was an answer to my prayer because he was a fresh set of eyes looking at her and said, yeah, we've got some things that aren't right here, you know, when they were looking at her immune system and her white cells and her red cells, and said, did you know that she's extremely anemic? And I said, no, nobody's ever said anything like that to me. Well, her hemoglobin's so low she needs a blood transfusion. And it was things like that that I was really grateful for him. And he sent us then to the oncologist, and that started that journey of investigating and trying to figure out what exactly was going on with her.
Part of our journey took us back to the National Institute of Health back in Maryland, and our entire family got genetic testing done.
And through that genetic testing, they were able to determine she had a deletion on a particular chromosome. And along with some other identifying markers, they were able to determine that she had Diamond-Black vein anemia.
It's a rare bone marrow failure disorder where people are born with not all of the genetic information they need to make healthy red blood cells. And red blood cells help to carry the oxygen in our blood, so you can imagine that's very important. Diamond-Blackfan anemia is pretty rare. It happens in only 5 to 7 per million babies that are born. The treatments for Diamond-Blackfan anemia are often steroids.
I'm probably on, like, right now I'm probably on like 15 different medications that I probably couldn't even tell you. I used to know them all by heart when I was even on like 30 or 35, but I don't even pay attention anymore. So a day in the life for me is I'll probably get up, get unhooked from my fluids, because I usually run my fluids during the night. And then I'll take my morning meds. It's the medicine cabinet. It's a supplies closet. It's really awesome. It needs to be organized. My batteries and my pump, these are old. So right now I'm getting ready to hook myself up to 4 hours of fluids. There's a good cocktail of stuff in here that like electrolytes and stuff like that that my body's been low on. So these caps are actually have sterile stuff in it. I don't know what's in it that just keep the ends clean. We're hoping that that has led to less infections. And you see that? Now we're running to go. It's off to school. Just kidding. I wish I had gone to school right now instead.
So she's been on steroids for over 5 years now. So she receives a drug called tocilizumab that's allowed her, just as of Friday, to be taken off of prednisone.
Steroids can have some long-term side effects and can make your bones thin. It can increase your risk of having diabetes and high blood pressure, which can cause kidney problems. In addition, a treatment is red blood cell transfusions. And
from there, I started getting red blood cell transfusions from then on, every 4 weeks, to keep my body sustained, because it wasn't.
Red blood cell transfusions come with iron because that's part of our red blood cells. That's what helps us with our oxygen carrying capacity. But iron over time is a heavy metal and it can weigh on your organs. And that can be a very toxic long-term side effect of chronic transfusions.
So you're wiping out the cells within her body that are causing the Diamond-Blackfan anemia, introducing a donor cell, whether that's a mom's, dad's, siblings, or a complete stranger cell into your body. And therefore those cells grow and reproduce, and then they eventually get rid of the disease altogether. So the donor cells replicate within her body, the chemo wipes out her cells, which were the diseased cells, and the new cells grow, and therefore once they engraft, she no longer has the Diamond-Blackfan anemia. So McKendree did encounter a lot of complications in her bone marrow transplant. And at this point, she comes to the clinic frequently to get her labs drawn to make sure that everything still looks good in her lab work, as well as to receive IVIG, which is to help boost her immune system, just to give her immune system an extra boost to make sure she's not getting any viral or bacterial illnesses. And then she's also still on a medication to help treat her graft versus host disease.
People ask me, like, are you gonna get better? And honestly, I don't know. You know, I thought the transplant was gonna be the cure-all, because that's what they say it's gonna be. And for a lot of people it is, you know, they get their bone marrow transplant and they're doing a lot better or whatever, and that has just not been the case. I never thought I'd be the girl who was, you know, gonna be in the hospital going through, you know, a cancer treatment, and then gonna be a girl who needed that. So one day in the hospital, I my my grandma's like, well, why don't we make a slogan up? I'm like, okay, well, you just make that up, and I don't really care. So she made that up. I'm like, okay, King can kick it, whatever. And I didn't really care for it at the time, but then my friend and her mom started making these shirts. I'm like, well, I want it to be pink because I love pink. And so they were just those cute shirts with the simple writing, King can kick it. And then all of a sudden I see them everywhere. I'm like, what the heck? Everyone's wearing King can kick it shirts. What is that?
I think from the time McKendry was little, pink was always her favorite color. Anything that she could buy that was pink or sparkly. For a long time, she couldn't say her S's, and so she would call everything Farkly. And pink was always what went around things that were Farkly. And before transplant, one of her doctors came to her and said, "What are you going to do with your hair?" And she said, "Nothing." And she said, "You should do something really crazy." And Jai and I were kind of like, we're pretty conservative and didn't really encourage it. Her doctor said to us one day, what does it matter? She's going to lose her hair. Let her do whatever she wants.
My hair was full on hot pink. Then I started seeing people like dyeing strips of their hair pink. I'm like, what is everyone doing? And which is kind of fun to see. I'm like, oh, King Kick It's gone viral, so that's kind of cool. And and my mom put a strip of pink in her hair. I'm like, oh my gosh, what is she doing? At
one point, young boys and females were coming to church with their hair bright pink in a way of showing support to her. And after McKendry had been in the hospital, when she first got to come home, it was only for a couple of days, and the streets were lined, literally for miles, with people with pink signs and pink shirts and pink hair, and all the way up to our home. And when we came to our home, my brother and his wife had painted our front door pink. And her gymnastics teammates would send videos, everybody wearing pink in her honor.
We love you, McKendry!
It just became kind of a symbol of love and strength. I felt really special, honestly. Lorraine, when I first went into transplant, Lorraine, they give out their Comfy Cozy care packs, and when I was in the hospital, she came up to my room and asked if I needed one, Comfy Cozy for my port and my line, and so she gave me one, and since then, Lorraine has been a huge part of my life and my family's life. We just really clicked. We learned about her daughter Amanda and how Comfy Cozy's got started. And I think that just kind of sparked me and my mom, like, oh, this is really cool. This is a really cool organization. Like, we need to get involved somehow.
So Amanda Hope, Rainbow Angels, was started because my daughter had a bucket list, and her name was Amanda Hope, actually. And so Amanda was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 9. And so at the age of 12, Amanda was diagnosed again with a brain tumor. At 12 years old, little girl, she did not want anyone waking up and finding your shirt being lifted up, or someone touching you and you haven't given them permission to. It's a protocol. All of this stuff is just so natural in a clinical environment, but it's not natural by any means to children. So she started having these little thoughts and dreams about, why do they have to see my whole body exposed? Why can't they just get to what they need to get to? And so she thought, well, why don't we make a Paraline that has peekaboo compartments so they can, unzip or unbutton and just get to her port or her Broviac. Eventually, we designed Comfy Cozies for chemo. Amanda, before she passed away, made me promise that we would give every child a free Comfy Cozy.
When you talk about the financial strain that something like this has on a family, we're 9 years into this journey, and I would have to say it's been financially devastating. Would that be the right word?
Yep.
When you have a child who's sick and has scary diagnoses, in the past, insurance companies have not liked that so much. And so there was a period of time that she was being released from insurance policies because they didn't want to cover her.
We've had to find new insurance every year for the last 9 years.
Yeah, And that is a scary feeling for a parent who has a child who, I mean, one particular year, her year of transplant, she had $8 million in bills. And you know, when you think about, I mean, we work hard, we do the best we can, but you can't sustain something like that. And even with insurance and high deductibles, you know, we've drained every resource that we ever had saved, and we would do it again. But that's what happens. I mean, that's just the reality. It's not, we're just one family that's facing that same thing. And Amanda Hope, Rainbow Angels, stepped into our life 5 or 6 years ago, you know, when Lorraine showed up at the hospital and said, I'm here to help. Can we pay your electric bill? And we're like, oh, no, we're fine. We really weren't fine. We weren't fine.
And Lorraine knows that.
And she didn't even know us at that particular
I know,
time.
but she reads
knew
through it.
Yeah,
She's been...
because she's personally experienced it. She was able to say, no, this is what we're doing. And for that month, our burden was light.
I can't do everything for everyone. It's impossible. I kind of think God wants it that way, where we all just come together and make a difference. So that's my core belief, is that, you know, I may only be the hands, but I'm going to find the feet and everything else to come with it, to come together to help our families. So,
You know, we'd all went up to Salt Lake. Amy's sister lives there with her family, and when she went up there, McKendry got really sick one night and had a really high fever at Aunt Lacey's house. Amy, she called one of the doctors down here in Phoenix, and then the doctor said, don't wait one more second, get her to the hospital. After a few days in the hospital, she had an infection. She ended up having an infection in her line that they finally ended up having to pull her line completely out of her chest because they couldn't clear the infection. Amy and I had agreed that I would go ahead and hop in the car and take the kids home. I had loaded everybody up in the car, and we were already 10 minutes into our trip home. And I get a frantic call from Amy that said that McKendry has just coded. Instantly, my other kids could hear their mom, because we were on a Bluetooth, and they just burst into crying hysterically. I flipped the car around, and instead of heading south, I started heading north for Salt Lake. I think, if I remember right, when I got there, they had just brought her back. It was the scariest moment of my life. Lorraine has so many contacts with so many people, but she arranged for a private plane to pick McKendry and Amy up.
it wasn't like I called another charity. I clearly called some families that knew people to get Sawyer Aviation, connected with them, and, you know, and then they ended up donating everything. You know, talk about making an impact. They literally saved her life. If she went on a Southwest Airlines flight, she would have died. That's just the bottom line. We needed to get her here, home, back to PCH, where she could get, you know, the continued care.
Along her journey, she's just met some really incredible people, and Garth and Trisha are two of those people that we met for about 4.5 years ago.
So I was asked to present a cowboy hat to him for the Child Life Zone at Phoenix Children's. And that's how the whole thing kind of came to be. And then they had asked if we wanted to meet him after that. And we're like, yeah, like, why would I want to meet him?
McKendry walked in with this little teeny tiny camera that she carried with her, and he immediately was drawn to that and said, McKendry, tell me what you like to do. And I remember her telling him something to the effect that she loved seeing the world through this camera lens.
We had brought like a little gift for him and Trisha and a little note, because what do you get? Garth Brooks and Trisha Yearwood. So they come in and I'm like, hey Garth, I just had a little gift, thank you gift. And he's like, well, since we're exchanging gifts, I'm like, what do you mean? And he like starts standing behind me and like starts jumping up and down, and I see his cameraman come through the door with boxes. I'm like, what is this? And he's like, you gotta open them. I can't say anything until you open them. So I open them, and it's all this camera gear, like really nice camera gear. And he's like, so I sent Ben to the store to get all the stuff he would want, and it's yours. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay. And then he's like, also, you're shooting my show tonight. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you're gonna go around with Ben and shoot my show. You're gonna be my photographer for the night. I'm like, okay. And then just recently, last weekend, they got in touch with us again and asked us to come to the show here in Glendale. And they gave me an all-access pass this time so I could go up on stage and take photos. And I am such a shy person. Was so scared to do that. He sees my all-access pass. He's like, are you kidding me? You have one of those? I don't even have one of those. He's like, all right, well then I'll see you on stage tonight. I'm like, okay. That was really cool. That was a moment I'll really never forget. First time I went up there, I went to the back of the stage and I looked through my camera lens and it was just, everyone's phones lit up and it was dark and I literally got chills and like I started crying. I'm like, oh my gosh. This is literally the coolest thing I've ever done. I cannot believe I'm up here right now.
He's singing, and he looks down at her, and we're witnessing this just as observers from the crowd. And he grabs her camera, he turns it around, and he starts snapping pictures of her. We lost it. Like we were a mess, a blubbering mess, and it was just a really very intimate moment in the middle of 76,000 people where.
And then
nobody else had a clue.
At the very end, he blows her a kiss.
Yeah, and then he was blowing her kisses, and the pictures that he grabbed of her were just priceless.
Just thank you so much, Garth and Trisha, for taking the time and interest in me, for allowing me to creatively express my passion. Yeah, we love you.
She's loyal. Gosh, I mean, all the things that you would think of that you would want as if you were in battle. You know, I can think of 1,000 other really wonderful things that she is, but the very first thing that popped in my mind when you said that is just she's a warrior.
And if I can't pick warrior, which is what popped into my mind, I would pick the word resilience. And you know, when you think of resilience, I think of in her life, it's been every aspect of her life.
I mean, McKendree inspires me because she has a lot of resilience. Maybe she doesn't always feel that way, but she continues to persevere with any challenges that come her way.
So my end goal is to get into nursing school and to be a pediatric oncology nurse, just like all of my nurses. I mean, I've had so many nurses who have changed my life and who have helped me through this entire journey, and I know what an impact they've made on my life. Like possibly near in the future, I could definitely, you know, go somewhere and succeed, and I don't know if it's right now, but you know, I can see myself definitely going somewhere and having a good college experience and making that group of friends that I wanted to and having that college experience. And so I think that's somewhere in my near future. Probably not right now, but I'm getting there. I always tease people that I'm probably gonna be a 65-year-old nurse by the time I get all my schooling done, but you know, that's fine. As long as I get there, slow and steady.
I think with McKendree's background and what she's been through, I think she will make the most extraordinary nurse because she knows what it's like to be on the other side. I mean, I always tell her, follow your heart, you're gonna do awesome, you're gonna get through this, this will be over soon. And I think that she'll really touch patients' hearts.
I think it's so important to continue advocating and continue creating awareness, just because, you know, people do it, but people don't understand all the time. And as long as there is someone advocating, people are gonna listen, and people are gonna donate their time, their efforts, their money, and that's how you get new resources. That's how you get more advocacy. That's how you get better, you know, doctors, better training for the doctors. So honestly, that's how you can help the hospital get better at everything.
Miss McKendry, Garth here. Hey, first of all, I just want to say I love you. I miss you. And you know what? Phoenix is coming up. Now, if you remember what we did last time at Phoenix, but the crew wants to make you an honorary crew member again. They want you to bring your camera, do your thing. But you know what? The band's a little jealous. So I've been wanting to know maybe if you want to be an honorary band member too. You can bring your camera, come up on stage, and I need some really good shots of me from behind looking out to all those people. So if you want, girl, you got a gig, and it's coming up. What is it? Coming up in about 3 weeks, all right? So I need you to get in shape, get ready, okay? Because everybody wants to come see you. Come out, we'll have a band and crew dinner together. You'll be just like one of them, wear the laminates, and you can keep the laminate. We never let that happen. You can keep the laminate, and you come out, and you shoot some photos, and you be part of the Garth Brooks band and crew, okay? Miss Yearwood asked me to make this request personal, okay? I love you very, very much. Hug your family for me, and bring anybody you want, okay? If you got friends at school you want to, come on out. I love you to pieces. You stay strong for me, okay? See you, beautiful.